So today, I actually have a friend that's going to join me on my hike.
I am a hiker. I also volunteer for Catfish Creek Conservation Authority, and I run a blog called Exploration Project.
Hi everyone, my name's Ranger M, and I work at Catfish Creek Conservation Authority. I'm the community outreach technician, and that means I do a lot of this, chatting about all things nature and conservation with kids, adults, teachers, everyone. I love to knowledge share, and that's just what I'm going to do with you. So come on, let's go learn with Ranger M. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Ranger M. Today we're going to focus on hiking safety, and then my friend's going to join me for a hike in Colton Swamp Wildlife Management Area. But before we go on our hike, we have to go and pack my bag. Okay, so this is my day pack, and this is what I'm going to take with me on the hike today. I'm also going to bring a first aid kit and a tick kit. So my first aid kit is just in case I fall and I hurt myself. It's just got a couple bandages and wipes and everything in like that. If you don't have a tick kit, a first aid kit could act as your tick kit if you have tweezers in it. That way you would be able to pluck out the tick. You just want to remember when you're pulling out a tick to bring its head with it. Sometimes when you pull out a tick, just the body comes, and that way if the tick is carrying any diseases or anything, it will still get into your body if you don't get the head as well. So that is what a majority of the tick kit is. It's a tweezer. So I'm going to bring both of those with me on my hike. Also important, as always, is water and snacks. I'm going to bring with me as well. I've been to Colton Swamp before, but I am going to bring a map. It's always smart to know the trail you're going to, in a sense of what direction you're going in. At the beginning of some trails there are maps for you, and you can just take a picture on your phone, and that's where you can refer to it if you don't have a printout at all. But I do have a printout, so I'm going to bring that with me. Other essentials that you could think of bringing could also depend on where you're hiking and how long you're hiking, but you could bring a Swiss Army knife or just a pocket knife, a flashlight in case you do get lost, and a flashlight could help you obviously at nighttime. Some more clothes and even a blanket if you're going somewhere that you possibly may be longer than 6-8 hours. And then a compass, always smart just in case you get disorientated. It can help you find your way back. I'm also going to bring my cell phone that's fully charged just in case of an emergency I can call out. And then I'm also, for personal reasons, bringing my binoculars, and I normally bring my camera as well just in case for wildlife sightings. Finally, the last thing you want to do is just make sure someone knows where you're hiking. It's always safe to let them know where you're hiking and how long approximately you're going to be, just in case of an emergency. So let's get out and go on our hike. What is the provincial bird of Ontario? What is the provincial bird of Ontario? The common loon. Did you know Canada is ideal for loons with its tens of thousands of lakes and inlets, offering perfect breeding grounds and habitation spots? In fact, Canada boasts 95% of the world's global loon population. Welcome to Colton Swamp Wildlife Management Area. So this area is similar to our other conservation areas, meaning it is managed and regulated under the Fish and Wildlife and Conservation Act. But it's different because we do allow hunting here. So in a sense, you can't forage, you can't disrupt wildlife, but during the proper seasons, you can hunt for small game and waterfowl. This spot is actually co-owned between us, Catfish Creek Conservation Authority, and the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. And then the Allegan Stewardship Council also helps us manage it. The Colton Swamp Wildlife Management Area is a 200-acre wetland complex, and that means it's dominated by a wetland that's actually provincially significant. And then it also has other aspects of it like a red pine plantation, a regenerated farmland area, and then a lot of different species from a cattail marsh to silver maple surrounding the wetland, and a lot of fun things we can find on our hike today. The Colton Swamp Wildlife Management Area is actually home to several national and provincially at-risk vegetative species. That includes putty root, black gum, chestnut, and the small world begonia. So today, I actually have a friend that's going to join me on my hike. Let's go meet Heather. So this is my friend Heather. She's going to join us on the hike through Colton Swamp today. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, Heather?
Yeah, so I'm Heather. I am a hiker. I also volunteer for Catfish Creek Conservation Authority, and I run a blog called Exploration Project.
Awesome, thank you. So Heather is going to be my hiking buddy today, and even though I've been here before, it's always safer to hike with someone else just in case of emergency. But Heather, you do hike on your own sometimes, so how do you make sure you're safe, and what do you bring in your pack?
Yeah, so I definitely hike solo, but what I bring in my pack is I always have a map. So if there's no physical map, I will take like a picture of a map there and bring it with me on my phone. And then I have a cell phone. I have, well, for certain hikes, like if it's a more intricate hike, I will actually have like a heat blanket in case I get stuck. Definitely snacks, always snacks.
Very important.
Water, of course, extra clothing is needed. Sunscreen in the summer because I'm very fair. A knife and a compass. Just
awesome.
Things like that, and always, always, always appropriate footwear. So
yes, definitely.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yes. Awesome. Well, come on, let's get on our hike. So Colton Swamp's actually a pretty cool place because it's not a continuous loop. You actually have to get to a certain point and then turn back. But
Right.
You've been here before, right, Heather?
I have, yes.
What was your favorite part about Colton Swamp?
I would say south of here. I believe that's south, I think.
Yes.
Anyways, my favorite part is where the swamp turns into sort of just more like grassy area, and there's that little bridge. Very cute.
Okay, well, we'll have to make sure we get there.
Yeah.
So Heather, could you tell us a bit more about your blog Exploration Projects, like why you started it and what it's all about?
Sure, yeah. So I actually started it a long time ago as an urban exploration blog, which is exploring abandoned spaces, so ruins and historic sites, yeah, which is where the name came from because that's called urban exploration. But then it kind of morphed as my interest grew in being outdoors into a nature blog, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you do those urban explorations in Ontario?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, could you tell us a bit about one? Like,
Sure, so there used to be a college called Elma College in St. Thomas.
Okay,
You're
yeah.
familiar?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's an old girls' school from the 1800s. Unfortunately, it's really sad actually. Somebody burned it down. But it was beautiful to take photos of on the outside and just photograph that and then tell the history behind that. So
That's
it kind
awesome.
of just has morphed, and that's why my name came to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Whenabouts did you start it?
Oh gosh, 2009?
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It's been
So
a
you
while.
just celebrated your 10th anniversary.
I guess
last
so,
year.
yeah.
So you have a pretty big following, especially on Twitter, and that must be nice. Is there any aspect you really like of that? Do you find that your messages get really out and impact people's lives?
Well, I mean, I'm a part of a big community on Twitter, so there's an awesome outdoors and hiking community. And so I would say that that's my favorite part because I get lots of inspiration, but also lots of gear advice or location advice and just sharing like stories and things like that. It's been a lot of fun. So I would say that's probably my favorite part of following a lot of people and people following me.
Yeah, that would be definitely nice to get some suggestions on where to go.
Yeah, it's like even like site suggestions, which is amazing. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
So speaking of explorations, what's one of your favorite ones so far?
So I really love Georgian Bay. I love the blue waters. It's almost like you're in the Caribbean, but you're in Ontario, which is wild, right?
Yes.
And so I did a hike up there on the Bruce Trail, and I've done the entire Niagara section of the Bruce Trail actually. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
And there's
so-
one trail connecting it, right? It goes Niagara to.
Yeah, Niagara to Tobermory.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've just done the Niagara section. I have a lot left, but that's been really a fun exploration because it's got a lot of history too. Bruce
Yes,
Trail, so.
for sure. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
We've made it to the end of the first part of the trail.
Yes.
So, what are you most passionate about? What's your motto in life?
Well, my motto in life, I would say, is to thine own self be true. So be true to your heart. But my motto for Exploration Project is be curious and explore. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's really, we lose, I think, a lot of curiosity and that sort of, I don't know, joie de vivre or wonder that you have as a kid. And I think it's really important to maintain that in adulthood because you learn so much more and just life is so much more interesting when you're curious and you go check things out, explore it.
Yes. I think that's actually been a benefit of the COVID-19 pandemic in a way. I think people have gotten outside and explored more.
Yeah.
Like at Springwater, we have noticed so many more visitors, especially from London, Waterloo, and the GTA area, more coming to visit us. And I think obviously the pandemic has been really hard on everyone, but there's been some positives, I think, for getting outside.
I think so too, and I think people are realizing there is so much to explore in your backyard and in your local area.
Definitely.
And, you know, I think we sometimes take things for granted that we have all around us, but if you explore your local area, you'll find some amazing spots.
Definitely, maybe like this one right here.
That's right.
So on to the second branch of this hike.
Yes.
So what would you say your favorite way to spend outside is?
I would say that it is absolutely seasonal.
Yeah.
So I love hiking in the fall, I snowshoe in the winter, and then spring and summer I am mostly on my paddleboard. So, but any of those, time outside in those activities, I am down and happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you could give a beginner to hiking or day tripping a tip, what would it be?
I would say to start slow, so gain confidence, you know, go on smaller hikes, learn how long it takes you to hike a kilometer, and then you'll know how long to leave. And I would start with something that is, you know, relatively flat and go from there, build your confidence and move on to greater challenges.
What would your suggestion be on where to hike? And don't worry, I won't get upset if it's not a catfish-owned property.
Okay. Well, it is. Oh. It is a catfish property. It is Springwater Conservation because it's got some really great loops. You can get some good distance, but it's relatively flat and wide, and you can do some different variety there, and it's just a really pretty hike.
That is, it is.
Yeah.
And it's also populated enough that you won't feel like you're on your own and feel like
exactly you're not in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So a lot of people think we have to go pretty far away to find some nice hiking areas, but a lot of the time you can find a hidden gem in your backyard. Have you ever found a local hidden gem? Yeah,
it is very true. I have found a Solitude Nature Reserve, it's called, out on Dexter Line between Port Stanley and Port Bruce.
Okay.
And they have some really nice little hiking trails there, and also you can camp there in the summer.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And let's get down to the most exciting question. What is the coolest wildlife you have ever seen out and about?
I've had 2 bear encounters. Black bear in Algonquin Park.
Okay.
Yes, one was an adolescent bear, which you don't really want to see, peeking its head around a rock, and I screamed and it ran off, which is good. And the other one was an adult bear who was crossing the path to go to a water source, and I just made noise and it ran away. So you have the amazing ability to take photos. When did you get into photography? I got into photography about 10 years ago, photographing abandoned spaces. And then it again changed into photographing landscapes and nature, and I have a lot of fun with it. Do you take a lot of your images using like a DSLR camera or just your phone, or? Mostly just my phone, because it's a lot of weight to carry around if I'm doing like a longer hike, or definitely not on my paddleboard. Yeah. So I usually just take my phone, which is fine. But if I know there's like a specific site that I want to get a particular picture, I will take my DSLR. Okay, well that's nice to know we can take nice pictures with just our cameras too. Yeah, for sure you can. What are your goal places to get to hike? I would really like to hike the Crack in Killarney. Ooh. So yeah. I've only been to Killarney once, but it was gorgeous. And that's awesome. I'd like to get up there. How long is that hike? Do you know? I feel like it's 7.5K or something, but it's like 1.5K an hour. or something.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact, but I know it's like a more difficult hike, and it's slower. But
what have you noticed on trails, like talking about trail etiquette, like always important to, say hi to people, be nice, considerate, move to the side, especially if you're cycling on a trail that allows for more than just hiking.
Yep.
What would your
I would say leave no trace.
For sure.
Principles. So if you pack it in, or if you bring it in, don't leave it here. Pack it out. So, and including your dog's messes.
Yes.
It's gross, but you do have to pack it out. So.
It's amazing how much I find dog poop in bags left alone.
Yes.
It's kind of like, well, why pick it up and put it in a bag at that point?
Yeah.
But you're responsible for your dog too, and you have to take what they bring in too. And
or even like apple cores, orange peels, like people think, oh, it's natural, but it's not natural to that particular ecosystem.
No,
so,
and if everyone were to do it, that's too much of that waste breaking down, and that's not good either.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Colton Swamp is the only home to an endangered orchid species. Do you know what it is? The Colton Swamp is the only home to an endangered orchid species. Do you know what it is? The small world begonia. Colton Swamp is the only place in Ontario where the small world begonia is found. Did you know orchids can remain underground for several years and will wait for the right conditions before starting to grow new plants above ground? So I've noticed a lot of info and posts about this a lot lately. Women in nature and women in STEM, or science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And I am really for feminine representation in the outdoors.
Yes.
I've always tried to prove that I can do anything a guy can do, whether it was hockey and sports or chainsawing or doing anything. Firefighting. And even if I hurt myself, whatever, it's fine. But what are your thoughts on female representation in nature and STEM? Because as women, we're both women in the outdoors and in STEM. So I'd love your input.
I think it's absolutely crucial to have feminine or female representation. I think that you can't really be inspired to do something, or at least you can't be inspired as well if you're not seeing other people like you do it. So I think diversity in general, whether that be gender diversity or race diversity, ability diversity, all is important for everyone to be able to enjoy the outdoors and feel welcome in the outdoors. I think it's so important.
Yes, definitely. And I think it's been very prevalent lately to see those different representations.
Yes.
Especially through social media, which you are very prevalent on, and you have a big following. So I think social media is so important in the conservation role and in representation role. Yeah,
I think so too. And I think it, again, just it's inspiring to see other people like you doing really cool stuff or things that you think would be fun. And it's like, oh, they can do that. Well, why can't I do that?
Exactly.
Right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a female role model that was in the outdoors at all?
I was actually inspired by a book that I read called Grandma Gatewood's Walk.
Okay. And
so Grandma Gatewood was, I believe her name was Emma, and in the 1950s she was the first woman to solo the Appalachian Trail, but she did it in her 60s.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so age representation as well,
definitely.
Right? And then she did it 3 more times, with her last being at 75 years of age.
Wow.
So it's just like, okay, so sometimes if I'm having trouble, I'll think, okay, Grandma Gatewood, like she did this, like I feel like, I got this, like other women have done this, other women who had less physical ability, presumably, than me. So it's like, okay, I got this.
What advice would you give female girls and teenagers that want to start out getting into nature or even pursuing an outdoor or environmental career?
Oh, okay. Well, I would say if you really want to do something, to not give up on it, despite perhaps internal or external pressures not to do it. So there's a lot of, for example, people that say, don't do this type of camping, or, it's too dangerous, that type of thing for a woman. Be safe, be smart, but follow your heart and do what you need to do in life to be happy.
For sure.
So.
And I feel like if there's financial setbacks or anything like that, to like pursue a post-secondary schooling or anything,
Yeah.
to get that experience elsewhere, like volunteer
Yeah.
or be part of a committee or anything like that.
Yes.
Just get involved with your local organizations, and I think that could
Absolutely.
really help as well.
Absolutely, or even just, work for a period of time so that you can go to school.
Exactly.
Like, don't give up on it, I mean, I'm going back to school and I'm in my 40s, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
matter. Just do what you need to do.
Yeah, for sure. If you could hike or go backpacking with anyone, female, who would it be and why?
Well, Cheryl Strayad's pretty cool woman.
Yeah.
She wrote Wild.
Yes.
And I like the work that she's done since then. So I would say Cheryl Strayad.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. But overall, just anyone with a positive attitude and who likes to have fun.
Yeah, for sure. If you could see something done in the future to better represent women and girls, what would you think would be the best way?
I think I'm just going to do a bit of a plug here to end violence against women, because I think violence against women prevents women from getting into the outdoors as much as they would like to, because they're fearful of their safety.
Yes, for
And
sure.
it should never be. We should be in a society where that's never a barrier for women.
Definitely.
Or for anyone. But
Yes, for sure. I
Yeah.
agree. Well, Heather, we're at the end of our hike, and I would just want to
Yeah.
thank you for coming out and joining me on this hike and answering all my questions. And it was just a really
Yeah.
great time.
It was an honor to be hiking with you today. It was
Awesome.
fun.
Yes, and I can't wait to see you in nature again.
Absolutely.
Do you know where the Carolinian Life Zone is found and how much of Canada's landscape it covers? Do you know where the Carolinian Life Zone is found and how much of Canada's landscape it covers? The Carolinian Life Zone is found in southwestern Ontario, from the border up north to Toronto and down across to Grand Bend. It covers less than 1% of Canada's landmass. Did you know only 2.5% of the Carolinian Life Zone is formally protected? So thanks again to Heather for joining me on the hike, and now I'm going to tell you all about compasses and how to use a compass. So I have here just a common compass. I have some flagging tape on it that's bright orange just in case I drop it. It's easy to find. So with compasses, you do have to hold them straight out in your palm, nice and flat. And then this part is the one that moves around, and it has the degrees on it, so 0 to 360 degrees. And it has north, south, east, and west on the sides, but it moves, and that's because you want to line up this red arrow with the red arrow that's actually pointing to north. So if I have this red arrow, it's actually pointing to the east. So I want to move it around to point north, and that'll give me the correct way and how to tell the degrees. So at the beginning of your hike, maybe just when you get to the trail, take out your compass and take note of where you are in what direction, and then as you hike along, maybe keep it in the back of your mind of which direction you are going and everything like that. So if you do become lost, you can use a compass to hopefully find your way out. This week we're going to do a nature journal. This is just another way to connect with nature as well as participating in good mental health and well-being practices. Nature journaling can really be about anything you want, but here I've listed a couple journal prompts that you can follow. Notice the different colors, noises, smells, or anything you may be feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is a great way to calm yourself, meditate, and even find things to be grateful for that we may not have noticed before. Enjoy yourselves and see you in nature!